Hello, my name is Adrian Warden. This is the debate topic for Business Ethics 605. The topic that I am debating is whether NGOs serve as good policemen for multinational corporations. I will be debating the negative. Now, there's two reasons why NGOs do not serve as a good watchdog or policeman to multinational corporations. Those two reasons are the source of their funding and the lack of a cohesive government structure on an international scale. Now, the reason those two items are important is because they allow the NGO to be somewhat corrupted or allow the potential to be corrupted. The same as you would, a good parallel would be a lot of lobbyists and in the political field. There's a lot of correlation between what happens with NGOs and what happens with lobbyists in the political field. Now, when talking about the source of funding, that's very important to this issue because where they get their money from actually plays a big deal in what type of programs they're able to offer. These talking about the NGOs and what issues are important to them. Because just like in the political spectrum, a lot of the money, the big money, we say, obviously there's a lot of small donations that come in from various people, various small organizations. But to tackle really big issues, something like environmental waste, climate change, human trafficking, these are resources that require a lot more funding. And so usually you need to get these either from governments or from wealthy philanthropists or something along those lines of where you can get a large influx of money. And the problem with that at times, not all the time, but at times, is that the money sometimes comes with stipulations. And those stipulations can be counterintuitive to the actual strategy and vision of the NGO. So, to give an example, if you remember Haiti, there was a big earthquake some years back, and looking at some of the research, Haiti still has not progressed as far as we think it should have, based on how much money they actually received during that time. There was a large influx of money from various people, countries, organizations. But the problem was a lot of that money was earmarked for specific things. And the problem with that is that it did not allow the actual people on the ground flexibility to use that money as needed to enhance the life and safety of the people, of the actual Haitian people there. In that same aspect, funding sometimes for NGOs might come earmarked with specific criteria, and that criteria may not be the actual mission that they want to pursue. And so how does this relate to them policing multinational corporations? If a large source of their funding comes from something that is actually counterintuitive to what they're fighting against the corporation, their hands are actually tied because they need the money to actually continue to survive, for the NGO to actually continue to survive, but they are unable to fight the way they want to fight or the way they might want to fight because they can only use that money for what it's earmarked for. And so that's one reason why there is a weakness of NGOs to police multinational corporations. The second is the structure, the hierarchical structure of the NGO. Because since you're dealing with multinational companies, that means you have to also be multinational to have the biggest effect. But the problem with that is that if you have problems in your country or region with a particular company, because all the laws and regulations are different from country to country, you might not have that same problem in a different country. For instance, if you looked at child labor laws, for instance, if your NGO is fighting against that, uh, China, Brazil, India, those might be places where you're having those problems. But that same company could have an office in those three countries and in the United States where we don't have a problem with child labor laws. So, if the NGO is based in the United States, we might not consider it as strong of a cause to fight against because we don't specifically have it in our country. Whereas that same NGO, the branches in the other countries, it might be one of their main causes because it's something that they're actually dealing with. So having all these different branches that they're going to have different needs, different missions, different visions, it makes it hard to have a cohesive strategy on an international scale to actually be able to fight an international company. Because one of the ways that NGOs are able to actually fight against the multinational companies is through media pressure, through lobbying, through creating a big enough spectacle worldwide or region wide that they are able to actually influence the brand or the media perception of that company. And if you're unable to get international support from other people, it makes it a lot harder to actually police the multinational corporation because what's happening in your specific country might not resonate enough that it will cause change in a world uproar on the issue that you are fighting against. So because of those two reasons, the source of the funding of the NGO, because it is a private company, and because the structure of an international company or a multinational company is such that you also need to be a international or multinational NGO to better fight against those multinational corporations. But since different areas have different problems, it makes it a lot harder for you to actually advance your cause. So because of those two reasons, I don't think NGOs are a good police watchdog for multinational corporations. Thank you.